Army Captain Sarah Cudd would not give up during the final moments of the grueling 12-mile foot march to achieve her expert field medical badge at Fort Dix in New Jersey.
You got it, man! Come on, you got it! You got it!
The last step in earning the badge was to complete the 12-mile trek in 3 hours while carrying 70 pounds of gear. With 13 minutes to go, the captain fell to her knees in exhaustion. But with her soldiers cheering her on, she rose to her feet and crossed the finish line.
Touch her.
Captain Cudd serves with Army Public Health Command in Fort Knox, Kentucky. She was only one of the 46 candidates who achieved the badge that day, and the Public Health Command says up to 80% of people fail. We think Captain Sarah Cudd really defines what determination means, and watching this video is truly an inspiration to never give up. Be sure to tune in.
What's up, everybody? JR here. Hit that like and subscribe button. Let's run it up. Y'all know what it is. Anyway, you guys just saw the clip. I don't usually touch on stuff like this, but I figured I'd talk about it because I saw Abba and Preach. Shout out to Abba and Preach. They did a video on it, and the name of the video was "Military Standards for Women Are a Joke." Now, I guess Abba was in the military. I'm assuming him and Preach are Canadian, from my understanding. You guys can correct me. I don't watch their show as much as I should. But Abba was in the military. I don't know if he's Canadian. I don't know if he was in the Canadian Army or if he was in the U.S. Army or whatever. But most branches have commissioned officers and non-commissioned officers. So he had some things to say about it. So I figured, you know, since me being a vet, you know, I'd give my opinion. For those of you who don't know, I was in the Army for over 10 years. I was a non-commissioned, I was enlisted, I was a non-commissioned officer, and then I transferred over to being an officer before I got out. So I was in 82nd Airborne, I was in Afghanistan, I was in 4th Brigade, 82nd Airborne. Airborne, I wasn't a leg, for those of you, if you don't know what a leg is somebody who's not airborne qualified and hasn't been to airborne school. So I got my wings, I got my foreign jump wings and everything else. So shout out to everybody in 82nd. Shout out to all my paratroopers. I was also in 1st Special Forces Group in Fort Lewis, Washington as support. I wasn't a Green Beret, you know, but it was an airborne unit out there. So I was with those guys as well. So they got some points, man. You have the standards are laughable for women. You know what I mean? They are laughable, and I'm not saying this to be sexist and things like that, but I think, as Abba said in his video, it is a PR piece that was pushed in this video right here. This actually occurs more often than not. She was going for her EFMB, or Expert Field Medical Badge, which has some things. My ex-wife was a medic, and that's something that she was going to go for at one point. It's not an easy thing to get. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people who watch, the female standards are pretty much, you can have a baby and, you know, pass a lot of those standards. I think, from my understanding, the when you first come in, I think the 18 to 21 bracket, you know, I got out in 2012, so you guys forgive me on the PT test. I think women only have to do like 8 push-ups, 8 to 10 push-ups or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. The sit-up standard, which I don't know if they still do sit-ups, but the sit-ups is equal, because supposedly women have the same abdominal capacity as men, or are able, based off the studies they did throughout the years. So I think it was 53. Was it 53 sit-ups, guys? You guys can correct me for the guys who are in the Army. I'm speaking for the Army. And I think you only have to run 2 miles in 18. I think women had like almost 19 minutes to run 2 miles. For men, for you guys wanting to know, for the 18 to 21 age group, you had to do 40. I believe it was 42 push-ups. You had to do 53 sit-ups. Same thing, women had to do 53 sit-ups, I believe. If I'm not mistaken, it was 53 sit-ups. And you have to, for the men, you had to run 15, had to run the 2 miles in 15 minutes and 54 seconds. A lot of you guys right now can't run a 10-minute mile. You know what I'm saying? I'm not taking up for the women, but that's basically damn near a 10-minute mile that they have to run. So standards, you see a lot of this, a lot of guys. She's a captain, which is an officer as opposed to a NCO or enlisted non-commissioned officer, which is E5 all the way up to E9, or sergeant all the way up to sergeant major. It's considered a non-commissioned officer, or corporal if you want to be technical, you know, which is still an E4. So, yeah, you see this a lot, guys, in terms of, you know, favoritism, guys who either try to get with a chick or they feel sorry for women. That's why they try to keep women out of battle, because they don't want to show, you know, women being maimed and things on TV during wartime and things like that. But a lot of the things, even down to awards, silver stars that have come about, a lot of you guys know during, you know, who've been to OIF, OEF, been deployed to, you know, Afghanistan and Iraq, where they were silver stars, MSMs being handed out, things like bronze stars for things that you may not have felt. But there's some women that have been on the front line, you know, letting them things off, you know, because in support, it doesn't matter. You gonna be on those front lines when you're in support, especially convoys, you know, which there have been women in convoys basically that are armed, and even on the fobs are armed guards putting right on the gate, pulling gate guard or gate duty or whatever. So not to say that it doesn't happen, but in the rear there are some women that go hard. I haven't been in the Army since the whole transition where, you know what happened with the Army and, you know, the standards and things like that. But I think that they don't meet when it comes to these things, it's basically like, I've heard women laugh about it. There are a lot of women that are on profile, which a profile means that they don't have to do physical activity. They can't be on their feet for so long, depending on what your profile is. And they ride that a lot of times to go to sick call, get medication, which they're so easy to get medication. It's easy for a woman. It's like it's just easier in terms of, even though women do deal with a lot of BS in terms of harassment and other things, which does happen. But specifically, we're talking about the standards. He put military standards, which I guess could be, you know, looked in a different way, but it's just how it is, guys. When it comes to promotions and things like that, you know, we could talk about affirmative action and stuff like that across the board, but affirmative action as a whole isn't necessary. You know what I'm saying? So this whole military thing with promotion, and do women get promoted faster? Do they sleep with their first sergeants? Do they sleep with their commanding officers? Do they sleep? There's been all types during my time in the military. There's been all types of stuff of women, you know, sleeping with the brass or sleeping with the first sergeant or things like, it just happens. These are things that happen in the military, guys. You know, men are always going to be men. You're going to be some men that don't live up to the core values of the Army or of the military, or, you know, they just think with their dick at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? But I've seen countless stuff like that. In airborne school, everybody's the same. Basic training, you know, you have different standards, but in airborne school, from what I recall, women, you have to keep up with the same standard. If you don't keep up to that, was it that 7-minute mile or 7.5-minute mile in the airborne school, then they're going to kick you up out of there. So the women had to stick to pace. I don't know about when we took our PT test as far as push-ups, if they had to do the same amount of push-ups, but sit-ups and running, yeah, you had to run at and keep that pace. It wasn't no slacking off or nothing like that. If you fell out, you're out of there. That's just what it take to be, you know, airborne. So there are very few women who are actually airborne qualified. You know what I'm saying? But we see that going on when women falling behind in formation, when you're running, things like that. I just found it when I did get into a combat arms unit. It was just so much easier because you didn't see guys falling into the trap, or I need to help her out, or I'm gonna feel sorry for her, or you falling back because she's running too slow, or she's complaining and things like that. it's women. Women biologically are different from men. It's just how it is. They have things. The same thing when you go out to the field. They can't be out. You have to make certain concessions for women out in the field that don't necessarily have to be for men. This is the difference. Women should not be, in my opinion, should not be out there fighting wars. It should be the men out there if it does come to that. And I'm pretty sure, you know, we can talk about the progressive state of the military and things like that, but bro, until that standard is equal across the board, just like for any performance, then nah. Standard needs to be equal across the board. That's just my thoughts on it. This is coming from a vet, you know, who's been combat, who's been deployed, who's been to combat, who's been, you know, in different units from combat support to combat service support. Hey, just my thoughts, man. Anyway, let me know what you guys think who are watching. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. Hit me up on Calendly and Linktree to book that one-on-one with yours truly. You know, follow me on IG. I'll follow you guys back. Check out, you know, all my other videos. Make sure you subscribe to all my other channels. And with that being said, listen, man. Gratitude and abundance to you all. Peace be upon you all. The mercy and blessings of the Almighty. I'm going to catch you guys on the next one. I'm out of here. Peace.
It's God's beat maker.
And I don't know. I will put a light in the sky for the G's that done turn memory from go. Blessings we send to the ghetto youth them.